Hello and welcome back to Projectincension. I'm your host, Andrew Mallet, and we are back with 13th Clan Mother, Karen Ann Lusick McDonald, and the topic today is going to be essential oils and whatever else comes up. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Karen.
Thank you, Andrew. How are you?
Doing good, you?
I'm excited, back in my old kind of stomping grounds, hanging out with lots of great friends here. I feel like I'm decluttering, helping friends along their path. So, get to have you along for my journey, and welcome to our kitchen. So I'm revamping the kitchen here, and we'll talk a little bit about maybe essential oils and what I've done here. Quite often I come in and I help people. And rather than paying people thousands of dollars per hour or per week, or going to the high-tech retreats and stuff, I will help different people or use it as a safe place or a bit of a healing center and bring people in as well.
And to even doing these videos, teaching people how to do it themselves, take a large portion of their responsibility.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's all about being self-empowered and looking after ourselves, and that's what, really being a master, or I would say clan mother, or whatever tribal is
right
here. And what we got to do is, what we have to do is people need to be aware of what they can do and the changes they can make. So the first thing is, people are having problems digesting things these days. We're making shifts. That means we're having organ shifts or chakra shifts or energetic shifts, information age coming in, and things are really coming at people a lot. So, we were talking about things like what we did in this week. I've spent the last hour with you showing you around here. And it's going to be huge, because we can document that on that. What it would do is talk a little bit about the essential oils, and we'll just keep it really brief today, just a few minutes here. One of the things is that the most important thing is to get the highest quality or the best quality of food. And to me, the highest quality of food is what we call virgin, heirloom, ennobled foods. And ennobled foods is being part of that original nobility. It's like what we call DNA, reestablishing our DNA activation, getting to our inner genes, or our inner genius, as we say. And part of that, when we get to a point of enlightenment where people are called basically initiates or initiates, also another term is breatharian or solarianism, or living on light, energy, love, pranarianism, is what Anastasia talks about it in these great books called The Ringing Cedars of Russia. And so the people of the Rus were like Vedics or shamanics, chematic language, or alchemy. And that's what we do. We're still holding that sort of information. So that's what we do. Tribal law, or the vibe of the tribe, as we call it. But that's basically what it is. It's the highest law of the land, and always has been. And so it's way beyond over just the water and the maritime and the Brown's Law and the straw man kind of stuff. So it's really, people are like, you are what you absorb. It's not just what you eat and what you drink. So I don't drink water ready here. Okay? So if you actually come into my little thing back here, we actually have got spring water we're actually hauling in. And that is coming in actually from a spring that I go to. And that's an ennobled right. So I would not touch the water in here in the city because it's with chlorine fluoride. And that's not what water is. It has nothing to do with water. That's a weapon of mass destruction.
Right.
And just to absorb all the chlorine, it off gases. All that stuff is absorbed on contact, just like a nitro patch. Then after 30 years of nursing, and I used to nurse up here at neonatal intensive care, and I was just actually showing you a picture way back when. Or is it my sister's getting information? So this is like, oh my gosh. But anyway, I was a neonatal intensive care nurse and part of the joint nursing union management committees and stuff. And I was doing that for like 15 years. And so most people don't realize, when I said I've been nursing over like 30 some years, they don't take me. I don't look like I've been around that block that long, but I have. But, we come into different things. So I was just showing you that, we come into these like Viber tribes where people think different families and stuff. Again, that looks like your typical normal little tribe. But again, we lose a lot of information between generations in education. And we got to practice our original customs, usages, and laws. And part of that is knowing what noble foods are. And so I was really happy to see that, things are changing here. I mean, this language that I spoke 10, 15 years ago, like raindrop technique and essential oils and Dr. Gary Young and VitaFlex and, raw foods and being a Vega is a vegan. Yeah. It's enlightenment. Those are enlightened masters.
It's becoming common language talk.
Yeah. Lyran, alpha, a state of alpha. Your brainwave's in alpha, you're in theta, things along that line. And, I was saying, like, people don't realize, Bear Clan and stuff. Well, I said the White Bear Clan. Well, there was your barristers. There's the Bear Clan guards initially. Their little hats years ago.
That's one of those.
Guardian angels, who was to know that, But you lose a lot of that information quickly. And, we get caught up in stuff, and we get caught up in, like, fashion stuff and fashion shows. And, we think that's normal.
Right.
We raise their children that way. We come in here and we see things, we're conditioned, Is it Sesame Street? Is it, Project MK Ultra, like this monarchy thing? Is it,
Captain Kangaroo?
There you go, Captain Kangaroo. And like I said, you lose things. This was my Baba and stuff like that. You lose things from generation to generation.
Right.
And I'm really happy to bring it back because, that's what I did. And so a lot of people too, these are our chakras. This is our pH level. Root chakra, and to me, it starts at your feet. Either you're grounded or you're not.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing too here that we're looking at. So anyway, that's kind of what we're seeing happen. And, again, people are in this very lower state. They're in the lower chakras. They're acidic, and we need to move them back to base. So I'm very high energy. Just even looking at what we're doing, I've got all those different colors, or I'm getting the hue or the spectrum of the food. And so the food that we need to take has to be that ennobled food with the minerals very, very rich. And that makes a huge difference, right? A lot of people don't realize you are what you absorb there, right?
Right.
So that's kind of the thing too I'm, kind of looking at here.
And even when we're not absorbing, like a lot of people don't, is they need to go and watch our colon hydrotherapy videos.
Yeah. And so what we want to do is there's like 4 classes of people to me almost on this planet. And this is international law. It's like Hague Court. I'm one of the old hags, Not that old. Anyway, I'm timeless, actually. But that's what it is. And so you've got like ennobled savages, wild and exciting, kind of people, and your cells are that way. And you're fully with your rights and your titles and stuff. And the rights to soul journey. It's like the rights to travel. Second class then, to me, there's no such thing as second best,
Right.
Like either you're in love or not. You either love yourself or you don't. How can you have a beloved if you don't love yourself? So to me, there's no such thing as second best or having parts or having the best things available to you. I don't have to wear those synthetic clothes anymore. I have hemp. So I'm totally radiating and excited and protected. And, I got hemp scarves on and stuff too. And I'm barefoot here in wood floors, not in the synthetic. So even something like this, it doesn't have to be that. But how can you create a little sacred space of love, even within an urban environment as I'm visiting today? That's the transformation for people. And so we have the ennobled foods, and then the second class would be organic.
Right.
And E9 is still what we call finable. As in, if you were to court, you could still be fined because it's not totally all there yet right now. And then your third class would be basically, what you call GMO, that kind of thing. So just for example, if I was going to go into the fridge and I'm looking, or for apples or something like that in here, we're looking for stickers on here. So I cleared out all their stuff in here. So this has got a 9 on here. So you want the wild food, which is basically going out and wild food foraging. we're gardeners. So I know how to go garden, but even if you have to go get foods and stuff like that, 9 can still be contaminated. Okay, and it's more about the seeds, what's inside than what's outside, but the outside can be contaminated, so we need to pull it off, we need to wash it off, we have to take the chemtrails off, things like that.
Where is the 9 on there for the people that don't know?
There's a little sticker here by the barcode. It will start with the 9.
Down a little bit?
Yeah.
Down, yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Okay, the number on the bottom, below the barcode.
Right, yeah. So 9 is on there, and you know, you should be growing your own. Like I said today, I'm growing my own. You can do microgreens, you can be sprouting. These are heirloom seeds. We're looking at indoor micro grow towers. I looked at 2, 3 of them this week while I got back into town to help people. Again, you can't grow outdoors anymore. That's just insanity with knowing all the dirty electricity, the chemtrails, the smart meters. It's just not viable anymore. And everything above the earth is actually, for below 4 feet and above, is all radioactive now. So eating anything, animals, butter, cheese, there's no such thing as free range anything. It's like treated water. Everything's contaminated, and they're high sources. Even tobacco, cigarettes are high radioactive materials.
Right.
You know, you might as well just put a bullet to your head, and I choose not to, or have anyone else do that to mine. Or let alone be stupid enough to pay for it. But third class is anything on those stickers is going to be 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. You know what I mean?
The first number.
The first number. You know, it's almost as silly as having a social insurance number, you know, or a birth certificate. You know, what you registered to, who you're property of.
Right.
You know, I'm not property of anyone. And I don't understand anyone either. So that's part of getting to the food part. And that's how you are. You are what you eat. So I'm not gentle, I'm not goyim, and I'm not part of the human cattle.
Right.
And so this is where people need to go. So the highest quality, first class quality of oils is food. So the highest thing to basically nourish our entire physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, or our soul, is actually you get the spring water at findaspring.com, or go talk to people in your area like I do. Second thing is to get what we call is the minerals back. And so to me, I've got a couple different ways to do it here. They're on spring water here now a couple months. And that includes, I'm not just dealing with people here, but also the children and the grandchildren. So I've got either Himalayan salt here, or I've got black Hawaiian salt, or I put Celtic salt, or all of them together. And what I did in here is we started up Soleil. And so basically we just took some water, like a cup or 2 of water or whatever, and we put in some of those salts. And so what we're really drinking is the brine. So it's actually, there's 80 to 90 some, could be 115 minerals in here now. So you really want the mineral water, because that's what we're missing.
What is the ratio? What is the ratio of water to salts in that in that bottle right there?
Probably we're putting about a teaspoon into about a cup or 2 cups of spring water. And you can look this up. It's called Soleil. There's a great book called The Water and Salt Book by Dr. Barbara Handel.
And
so
then
that sits out here. And that's what we do every day. And I put in lots of different things like that. So that's the first thing we do. And then we take out a teaspoon of that into another cup of spring water. And there I've got mineral water. First thing I do, I get grounded every day.
Right.
There's your, whatever. And if you really, a lot of people, they really want a little bit of that saline right off the bat.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
And also for the other people, if they don't know where spring is, natural spring, not spring bottled water, spring is findaspring.com, and you can find spring right in your area.
Right. And the reason why is because we've got different people in there, and that's again looking at what we're doing. So as you just saw, I actually have a couple different kinds, and here's the other one with the Himalayan salt. So you can see it's a little bit more pinky there.
Right.
Same thing. I've got different things, so I mix them up, and it's really about getting the saline water. So however you do it, it's just about getting some in there. And soul is salt.
And explain the difference between that and the salt in the blue container that's toxic.
Okay. A lot of people, yeah, we'll go there. A lot of people get Windsor salt, and that's basically sodium chlorides and stuff. They've been ionized, they've been treated.
Right.
And basically what you're doing is you're denaturing things. So you're taking something and basically tearing it apart and trying to sell it back to the people, and it's not natural, so we don't recognize it. So that's why people that do have high blood pressure and stuff, we want them on the saline water, because it's gold, silver, iridium, it's magnesium, it's iron, it's all sorts of things in here. Copper. What else have we got? Boron. There's 115 trace minerals these days. The other one that most people are missing is the salmiac, and people can get that. We have to order that in separately.
Right.
That's been pulled out of everything. So these foods that are being grown, like number 9 and organic stuff, that's that you were certified allowed to have. That doesn't mean that's the whole entire spectrum.
Right.
You got to remember, when I started, there was like, what, how many on the periodic table? Well, we've gone from 84 to 115 elements as of like a couple weeks ago. Okay, so this is not the true picture people are really getting here. So that's why we're having to get into salmiac, because it's still been pulled out of the seeds that they've been allowing people to have.
And it also rebuilds the DNA.
Yeah, and what you're doing is you're moving from basically a 2-strand that's been broken. It's like being bipolar to me.
Right.
It's negative and they're bipolar. So we're going to repair the 3rd strand. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move it from a negative pole to a positive pole. So we'll have people grounded. So they're going to become like a dry soul cell battery. And so we need to have it in a natural form. So there's a couple different places. The salmiac is S-A-L, like soul, same thing. It's a salt. M-I-A-K. And they have got some at Lacquerol. Just make sure that you've got the salmiac brand. There's some you can get brought in from, I think it's Creative. It's the other place that's got just the powder that I want to use it for. And I'll be putting it into chocolates and enemas and stuff. What I wanted to do is really focus on what I use the oils for. So the first thing when I came into here to deal with someone, first thing we got into was essential oils. Because to me, that's the highest form and vibration of food. So when you take 1 drop of peppermint, you're taking like 26 cups of peppermint tea. And because people are deficient, we can use something, let's say like peppermint here. This one happens to be off Young Living, but as long as it's great medical grade. And again, classes of oils, classes of food. Dr. Gary Young, who I trained with, actually, and we did fire walking and stuff too, and we did emotional release. And I patterned my clinic here 20 years ago off of his, one of them. And, Hippocrates and Dr. Gabriel Cousins and stuff I studied with, like, David Wolf, things like that. Dr. David Jubb, Optimal Health. There's so many great things. Brzezinski's, Garrison's, all sorts of things. Living Light. It still comes down to starting here. And I know a lot of people think, Ty Bullinger and Charlene have got the truth about cancer. Well, it's the truth about everything. And cancer that people are being diagnosed with, or any other diagnosis, is just a word. If I took cancer backwards, it's Reknak. It is. I like to play with neurolinguistic programming. I used to play with Dr. Richard Bartlett and Melissa Johnson and Karen Sperling and all the great people at Matrix Energetics. It's not what you believe, it's what you know and what you put into experience. So I'm not only have contact but with things, but I'm an experiencer.
And if anybody wants to know the frequency of all the oils, it's on our first essential oils video we did.
Absolutely. And the other thing too is that all the oils, remember in this place here, and I was just showing you earlier, which I could show you again, I came in here and found there was a bloody smart meter. They weren't even aware that was out there. And I'm on a direct feed, so I have a 20-foot 5 cord here. I'm going around with you. I don't want any more EMFs or Wi-Fi's on my brain. Part of the things too is that we've got some tin foil up in here because I'm protecting so that it's not going through like a terahertz and a pulsar scanner every time I go out the door. But it's also a surveillance thing. Not only do they go on fire, but they actually can read, and they are connected to other towers and cell towers and satellites that literally come in and can alter your brain waves. It can alter how you think, and it also can pick up on your think. It's a form of scalar technology used through what we call Gwen or heart tower arrays, which are connected to these cities and synchrotrons and underground facilities and bases that create magnetic fields underneath us. And I know even in different areas, whether it be Saskatoon with the Large Hadron Collider, or Brookhaven, or CERN, you know, people can look at Sergeant Patty Bessard, who's also a Micmac elder, and also with the U.S. Freedom Team, and Sergeant Daniel McMullen. I know you were interviewing on Project Ascension.
Right.
We can go into a lot of that, but what that's doing is it's creating disharmony, discordant. It basically alters the way we think. So when we're doing these simple techniques, like using salt, you're shaking, you're exciting, you're grounding down to that mind before Atlantis, before all these pole shifts. So it's like going back to your chakras. It's going really back down, as we looked at here, into that root chakra. So we're regrounding right back down here into the inner core of the Middle Earth.
Right, and all the cell towers, Wi-Fi, smart meters, that's to stop that, purposely to stop that DNA upgrade from Mother Earth.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the things, and I'll just show you the simplest things I have everyone on, and maybe it sounds so simple, but literally people have had stage 3, again, cancer. That stuff that we can barely find your root chakra, that red wave, right? So when I look at my biofeedback and I look at your curling photography, I might see there's hardly a root chakra left, because we can barely, from our signals or satellites, pick you up anymore.
Right.
Okay, and so it's a very weak signal, and you get below, again, couple hundred. It should be unlimited, really. But when you get down here, I can barely find a signal on someone, or they think, oh, it's my second chakra, or my liver, or my gallbladder, or my heart, or my brain, or my thyroid here.
Right.
You know, they're just not connected. So something is simple, and I will just show you the easiest thing we've been doing with people every day. Welcome to the kitchen, by the way. But we take something, this is a baking soda, and that's not Arm & Hammer. And even though that may not have aluminum in it, it's not a natural, basically, base of sodium bicarbonate. And that's what we did as a nurse. I put bicarb in, really cheap stuff, by the way, in an IV. So this is replacing your IV stuff. So just that little amount of baking soda into your glass of water. Bring water and mixing that up. And then basically we can use, we got a couple choices here. Blackstrap molasses. Some people, we've got clear raw agave in here. And we also use birch syrup, or we can use maple syrup, grade 3. And grade 3 is the last runoff, and it's got the most amount of deep-rooted minerals that come up through the ormus, through the tree.
And that's the green lid on the maple?
Yeah. Well, up here it is. You got to, you know, every place is different I go to, and city to city.
In the States here, it's green. It's the green lid for grade 3 maple syrup also.
Yeah, it is up here too, but you got to watch. And I mean, I got things too. I could put in a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. I could put in a drop of MMS. Some people do different things. It's totally up to what you want to do. So once we get that in here, and then the other thing I have everyone on is, you know what that is?
That's what I use, yeah, borax.
That's what we use. Yeah, and it's one of the easiest forms. It's called boron, and boron is a mineral. It's powder. That's why it gets your clothes so white. And we just put in a baby speck in. You can go, look, most people take a quarter teaspoon a day, because we're missing boron and we're missing copper.
Right.
And what I did tell you is in my little spring water jug over there, I have copper beads.
When I mix my borax, I mix it for 1 quart of spring water to 1 teaspoon of borax to make a concentrated to use through like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. You just take out a teaspoon of that, 1 or 2 teaspoons of that every day.
Yep. Now, I know people are doing apple cider vinegar and stuff too. I've also got like lemonade and stuff in the fridge too.
Yeah.
And limeade. And again, this is, again, replacing a hospital. right? We shouldn't have to be in hospitals. And it's that simple.
On the lemonade, that's what I also do is when I get up is put an 8-ounce glass of spring water and half of a fresh squeezed lemon juice.
Yeah, so what we want to do in here is then you can start adding in different oils. They could be lemon oil, they could be peppermint oil, like right into the water. The other thing I'll do is I've got tea here going. And what I have actually in here is Tishaga, which grows off the tree, like a little wart, but it collects all the ormus up, or monatomics, and all those precious minerals, the noble minerals, and it collects it here. So I can actually put it into my tea and let the water, spring water, extract and extrapolate out those minerals again.
And what was that again? What was that again?
That was the Tishaga mushroom.
Okay.
Tishaga, or some people say shaga, it's a little mushroom. It's very hard. It's like petrified wood almost.
And what tree does that grow on?
Yeah, it grows on the side of the tree, on the side of a birch tree. And I would encourage people, if they haven't, you can look up David Wolf, Tishaga. It's called the King of Medicinal Mushrooms, but basically these are anti-tumoral and anti-cancer. And basically that's what it does. It's like this big kind of mushroom thing here that's found on birch. And it's found in many different areas. A lot of people, we've got reishi. I got some reishi slices in there too. And a lot of different things. So a lot of people go collecting these just off the side of the trees. And they're amazing. So all the trees, or the mushrooms that grow on the trees themselves, are collecting nutrients brought up, because it levitates up the tree, kind of like into our lungs. They filter out a lot of the radiation. And so there's a lot of stuff being discovered now, and I'm really grateful to this thing. But anyone you're learning about oils, Tishaga, this is huge. And Cancer to me is just a way of thinking. You could be in Gemini or in Aries or Capricorn too, but it means you're like in old, you haven't shifted over and gone through all the ages yet. You're stuck in something, there's a block. And so this is actually what it's all about, is learning how to upgrade in here. So that's what the Tishaga is.
The Tishaga, I have the liquid form on that. Yeah. You see that?
Now the other thing people have done is, if you got a Vitamix, they actually grind up the Tishaga here and add it to their smoothies. So that's another way to do Tishaga. So in there, but what I wanted to do, I wanted to bring back, is just going back to the oils. So in here, these are vegetable capsules.
Yeah, those are the same I use.
Yeah, and make sure it says veggie cap, okay? We're not talking gelatin. I don't want anything coming through in the animals. There again, just to let you know, there's a sticker that says organic with the 9.
Right.
Okay. So what I do is I get those essential oils, and whether you dilute it down with something, it could be castor oil, it could be olive oil, it could be hemp oil. You get these tiny little capsules. And what you can do is you can either put your oils in straight. And for example, I've got cinnamon here. We've been using cinnamon. We've been using myrrh. And these are all those scriptural oils, by the way. Shekels of this, well, let's just put a drop of this. The shekel's close to a gallon, so that's a lot to do. If I had my way, I'd put everyone with a couple gallons of oils, the myrrh and stuff. Here's myrrh, very thick oil, very precious. And they come sticky like a resin. It's like a gum. And so that's what we did. We're adding a little bit of that myrrh oil. And we use pine pollen or pine essential oil or things like that. The other thing you can do, and that's actually what the myrrh looks like. You can see how it comes out in the water? That's like pine pollen resin. So that's why oil and water don't mix. So I can actually use it like a resin or a powder, or put it into teas and all sorts of things, massage. But that's why you tend to see it like in resin that people want to burn, like incense and frank. And that's not the way to do it. There's much better ways to take it inside and out. So The aroma part is, yes, you're smelling it. The second way is to take it internally. And you can take quite a few of this. And I'm just going to show you, as long as they're medical grade. This I have off isis.ca. This is chocolate cacao essential oil. Cacao is a treat. So you can put chocolate essential oil in. And again, it's a purple food. A lot of people, you know, they've got lavender instead of antibiotics or vaccines, and you're going to start getting really excited. One of the most common ones is something called thieves, which is cinnamon, clove, lemon, that kind of thing, rosemary. And these will get through most of your viruses, bacteria, and chemtrails, and the nanotechnology that's in there. So again, they can be taken internally, externally. In pill form, I could just drink it in water. I could put it in the agave or the maple syrup and take it in. The other way to do is to take it and just massage it into the skin.
I do both.
I do all above. The other way to do is, there's actually about 21 ways to take it internally. The other thing too you can do, you can put it on cotton balls, and again you can get, these are organic. We talked about not using Q-tips, right? I just showed you, that's an organic Q-tip. As I'm cleaning through this place, these are not. This is. So you can go and actually get organic Q-tips, and all the women can get cotton balls. This is organic and natural tampons, pads, all sorts of things. You can actually put your essential oils, and that's what we talked about here, is using these essential oils. You can diffuse them in here or on your rads and stuff. You can put it onto the cotton balls. You can put them directly on warts or apple cider vinegar and put a waterproof tape on it. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to actually saturate later different people that have got prostate cancer or cervical cancer or vaginal or sexually transmitted diseases and stuff. We can also use it with cannabism, by the way, cannabis oils and stuff. And the idea is to basically soak that, or soak your tampon or your pad and put it directly in. So I'm actually going to soak that, put some coconut oil and some what's called raw cacao or chocolate butter and stuff like that, like we do to make raw chocolates.
Right, right.
And I'll be making that, putting it on here, and then you can insert it vaginally. We were talking about things like women with vaginal, and a lot of us that had children, we may have had vaginal or abdominal prolapses. And so you can use diva cups instead of premissaries and stuff like that. And you can also put these essential oils and peppermint in there, which will tighten up the muscles. Because what happens is we lose the muscle because we're not getting the minerals that we have because maybe the abdomen is prolapsed.
That will also work on very well on the cystocele and rectoceles.
Absolutely. The cystoceles and rectoceles would be great. So one of the other things I'm going to show people too is, this is an enema bag, and I actually like the other one. It's called a Covidin, but I just got this at the local store, and that was the first thing we went down. We have this list of things we're having to get, and so I will just open this up here. And so this replaces the IV bag. Everyone should have many of them. This is not just a douche, but for men and women, if you're eating, you should be doing this. So in here will go the water, the little bit of baking soda possibly, and you can look up all the at-home or do-it-yourself enema recipes. And I'm going to put my essential oils in here of clove oil, lavender oil, tea tree, frankincense, myrrh, that kind of thing. And slowly, instead of an IV or dialysis or chelation, I could also put some bentonite in here to chelate out too. But the oils and everything will help chelate out, and they're going to change the terrain. So this is one of the best things for emotional and mental release, by the way. Anyone that's got brain fog or memory things, or children that have got attention deficit, it's because of the toxins accumulating in the system being passed down generation after generation. So, you know, I was just going down to, it was called YXE, which is floatyxe.com. We have one of the areas here that's got a flotation tank. But that's what you're going to create, is you're going to put that inside this environment now. So I'm really blessed to be right near Watrous, which is called actually Manitou Springs. And that actually is where we go, and it's so dense, you just float, you know, and that's the idea, is to do that. So one of the other things I did this week, I ground up basically the borax we had, baking soda, Himalayan salts and all that. I just put them in my NutriBullet and ground it, and I put some essential oils in here. So you can put that right into your enema bag. You could drink this. I could clean the toilet with it, which I have. And the other thing I'll do is I'll put it into a container and put it with castor oil or olive oil, make it like a salt scrub.
On the borax, that's what I think scares a lot of people away, because they know it's a really good cleaner, but it's a really good cleaner because it's a mineral.
You know what? People, they assume that basically salt is like, you know, Windsor salt. Well, that's not it. That's sodium chloride or sodium. Right. And there's natural forms and there's unnatural forms. Like I said, there's an original form or an ennobled form. And then there's things that they've, you know, militarized, bastardized, chemicalized, pharmaceuticalized, herbicidized, fungicides. And that's what that is. So again, people have to do their own education. And we shouldn't have to be educating people on something to read a label.
Right.
You know, and that's ridiculous, but borax is just boron. And that's why it gets everything clean, because it's pushing off the toxins or the positive petroleum-based chemicals. And that's why it's also used for people for chemtrail chelation and for parasite cleansing. So you could spray it around or put it around the outside of your home, and you're not going to have ants, you know, or you're not going to see viruses, bacteria. But that's the same thing if you put it in us. It's the same thing. It gets rid of the pathogens or the candida or the yeast or the archonic attachments. That's why people that have been sodomized, raped, residential schooled, MK Ultra stuff that's happened, trauma-based and fear-based stuff, doing an enema and putting that into the rectum is the best way to get rid of emotional releases and basically archonic or implants and attachments, because it's actually scrambling the signals, right, not only through the Wi-Fi, but on all the different chakras. And so it's something that simple, that salt and water, and basically that essential oil is nanomolecular medicine or food. But the amount of ormus, if you actually took a plant, think about it this way. Let's just grab a plant or something out of here. Or just whatever kale, but I've got whatever kale out of here. You know, if I actually dehydrate that into a kale chip and then you put it into a capsule, well, that's basically one little capsule.
Right.
Okay, nothing. That's hardly makes a big difference on people, but that's why when you see things like Empower Plus, or people take a little wheatgrass or they take alfalfa, they do better. I mean, you're only juicing how much to get an ounce of juice in it. Now the difference is that when I put it in, I'm going to have virtually the whole garden, put it back into my pill, into my bottle. So that's why one drop is like you taking 26 cups. The other thing I've been doing at the bulk farm, I've been using different things here where we got powdered greens, essentials, and stuff like this up here. You can find your own different things, but this is basically 30 pounds dehydrated into a pound
of
powder. So if you just thought about that, you know, what I just showed you, kale, well, how much kale would that be? That's your whole basically garden out there is in this smoothie.
Yeah.
So rather than taking a tiny little amount, we take a teaspoon or two and make these NutriBullets. And we've got powdered greens in here too, which is basically, it's got from alfalfa in here to parsley to apple to spinach to stevia's in here, blueberry, apples, all sorts of things, green tea leaf, spirulina. And so the other thing I've got is super reds here, which is strawberries and blueberries and hawthorn and tomatoes and pels and everything else. And this is delicious stuff. And we just put it in to all my things. I'm just showing you a cheesecake I made. And this is an amazing thing here that we just got. And I get these, whatever, they can be, these are silicone based. But this is actually, I just made a cheesecake thing. And I put essential oils into here. And so this is basically just a little, you don't have to have a cup in there, but I made a little nut base that took me about 3 minutes to make, put it at the bottom. And I talked about cheesecake, so I just actually took some cashew nuts with some lemon juice and the Himalayan salt, and I put in a little bit of lemon or orange essential oil into here. So that's another way, is how to bring your foods into that. Or, you know, make your smoothies and add a drop of lemon essential oil or orange essential oil into your smoothies. You know, same thing with my salad dressings. You know, I put an actual drop of oregano oil into it. So that's, I just wanted to show and share some really interesting things and how we did that. To use essential oils quickly. And the other way I have is at Biomat Canada. This is actually an amethyst crystal bed. And so what I would do with all ours is we actually would put you on the bed, and it radiates natural radiation, but an ionic field that stops the dirty electricity there. And we put the essential oils on, so they're magnified and they're literally excited. And we actually push those essential oils right internally into you. So I would have people with like low back pain to gangrene to all sorts of interesting conditions, and it would be gone within weeks. You know, all the guys with, you know, prostate cancer and women with cancers and all this. Again, you're exciting the cells because you're using the same thing like I do with my biofeedback or skill machine.
Explain what the box spring beds are doing. Or spring mattresses.
Yeah. We were talking earlier. Of course, now I want to eat my cheesecake. It's always good fast today. I was saying when I come in here, I usually sleep on the floor or a futon mat, or you can get hemp beds now and stuff like that. Natural beds, clothing, but also bedding. And so my bedding in here, by the way, is courtesy of Sharon at bedvoyage.com, all bamboo. The bedding that I sleep on is bamboo. And what happens is if people sleep on coil beds, it acts like a keshi pen or a mag grab. What it does is it becomes like a wire, a copper transmitter or metals, and it acts like a direct energy weapon. So you're sleeping on these coils that actually fracture and destroy your DNA. So for 8 hours when they're pulsing all these wireless things, you're getting scrambled every night.
Right.
Very dangerous. And you become fractured. It affects your memory. And it starts fracturing off the way we think. So, terrible things. So, when you consider how important that is for 8 hours a night or longer, you know, even this year, I was showing how we're transforming this place. Even the, you know, children have got, you know, little bears and stuff. You know, what we're looking at is that we can basically see that they've got K-pop and chemicals in them. So, I mean, I'm throwing things like that out because they've got chemicals off-gassing. They've got metals in them, which the children are sleeping with. You know, we're hearing phones. They shouldn't be cordless. You can get special little, and on the computer here, I have special crystals that actually shut down the radiation, so it keeps the radiation down there. We also have different things called shugite and crystal neutralizers, right? So those are different things you can use. But if you're the crystal, and we're supposed to be changing our DNA and our crystal, that kind of thing, this is what we want to do, is change that. And again, getting rid of things, going back into direct plug-in, like DC, get directly plugged back in, and that includes your food. That's why we're looking at stuff like aeroponics and even the hydroponics, but doing it without the fish, doing it without the byproducts or keeping things. You know, it's not healthy for fish and vermiculture and stuff like this. You know, you're looking at the quantum level now. We have to look at it from a spiritual, i.e., the nanoparticular things that are happening with people. And that's not healthy. You know, even the beeswax and even the bees, you're going into Monsanto fields, people are keeping them, they're giving them sugars, they're putting them into their natural environment, which is a hive, like a cosmic egg, you know, and putting them into boxes. Like people were put into boxes.
Right.
You're not training them to eat other kinds of foods now. And then trying to sell it back to the public, which isn't correct. So we want to get back to different things too, and teaching people you are what you eat and what you absorb. And there's energy or chakra colors when you look at foods. And so there's the curling photography even of foods, right? You've
Right.
seen that, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah. And so do you want to feel for energy life, or you want to be just about surviving and decaying and rotting? You know, one of the reasons we did do that stuff with the raw cacao is because it's actually got an anamide and P, which is a phenolithamine, which is basically a compound that's found in abundance in cacao. And it's not full of caffeine. That's a misnomer. But basically, this is when we have different frequencies when we fall in love, like pheromones and stuff. And the anamide is like a cannabinoid. It has endorphins, and it gets us excited. But it can't be cooked, because then it contains the copper, the vitamin C, the fatty acids, the chromium, the magnesium, the iron, the zinc. And just to give you an idea, this is where up here mangoes and fruits are. At the bottom is the raw cacao. So it's like the chakra colors. And because cacao is actually a purple indigo food, it's indigenous. And so that's why it grows on tree. Just like I showed you the tashaga, that's
Right.
what the cacao does, the nuts. So that's why to eat a superfood, that's what we want to do. We want to get these foods that are actually tree foods, like our tree of life. And so that's why you see things like lemons and everything else, but apples, seed-bearing stuff, because it's up off the ground, away from the radioactivity on the actual ground itself. That's why goji berries and stuff like this, they're trees. Rose hips, things like that, if that makes sense.
And the tree roots are down far enough to get the essential minerals and put it right into the fruits.
Absolutely. So they actually levitate up. So if it's spring water, near a spring water thing, that's what you're doing. You're bringing up these kind of longevity foods. And that's the amazing part here. So the longevity foods are really, really huge. And this is why it's really important to look at stuff like, say, like spring water. Now, some people like to flavor it down and call it calcification or nanobacteria here. The Undertaker. I mean, whether we would say chemtrails or nanobacteria or whatever it is, these again are nanoshell forming organisms here. And basically what they do is, you know, whether you want to call it a tumor, a kidney stone, a gallstone, or whatever it is, that's what you're looking at. So you need to have those minerals and essential oils to break through into the shell and to get through there. And so the best way to do that is through different things like doing essential oils, doing things like yoga, breathing, getting yourself moving, grounding, earthing, all sorts of different things. Again, using techniques. Again, the best grounding technique is using spring water in an enema. And that's when you get all the negative ions. So you're actually giving yourself an internal flushing.
Right.
And that basically flushes us through, because people are disconnected from the earth. So this actually reconnects you back through the earth's natural electrical magnetic field. And again, how many people are having dental and teeth problems now, causing bone and teeth demineralization programs? And that's basically from that. That's why we use xylitol or use minerals or coconut oil. Again, coconut oil are superfoods. You know, we use zappers, we use my biofeedback techniques, you know, and you're using these top 15, 20 foods for your transformation. So that's really what this is. You know, it's about water technology or hydrosol technology. You know, really after 30 years, all I've done is become a really great, you know, plumber and electrician. You know, so whether you know reflexology or traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurvedic or shamanic stuff like I do, that's great. Anyone can learn that. You can learn how to do show tai or read people's eyes, iridology. I can just look at someone's face and read them. You know, I can see, you know, all those little circles around your pupil is all that diverticuli pocket. I can see all the acid mucus. It's like one pipe for 33 feet that's got that mucus, and the only way to break it down is salt and water.
Right.
And if you use some different essential oils, top and bottom, you know, it's pretty hard. We can't really fish something down 33 feet down there, you know, with the snake wire like you're doing plumbing. But, you know, the other way, think of it, that's how we clean our piping. And the idea of, you know, having the, you know, different essential oils and stuff like that, or the biofeedback machines that I have, or scanners. I mean, not too many people have, you know, $20,000, $30,000 scanners or zappers like I do, or Rife Radionics here, Scalar Technology, you know, and that's all great if you have that. I mean, I can look at I can look at you from a distance, right?
Right.
And if I want to send you copper, you can taste it where you are if I send it to you enough through frequency. And again, that's another form of radiation or radio wave. That's radionics. We are working, not at all. We're playing in the radio field, radionically. And that is how simple it is. This is what you call secret space program technology. It's not just military intelligence, it just should be intelligence. That's your, you know, intelligence that's been around for all time and eternity. So I can actually go onto here and actually see your auric field. I can also measure or deliver all the essential oils you need through here.
Once you bring it up.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see if I have enough battery life on here. But if I actually go down into here, and it will tell me which foods you're allergic to, but it will also tell me which oils and stuff based on what you require, what minerals you require. I can also see you like a satellite, like the planets, or, you know, from above here. So whether I look at like this way, or I take you onto the other plane and put you flat, that's like bringing you up. Okay? So that will actually show me where the auric fields are, what the frequency or what the color or the hertz are that we need to deal with. And that's why we can send that. But I mean, I can look at within seconds all your bacteria that you're holding, and more importantly, zap it out of you, or your genetics, or the chemtrails, or whatever it might be. I mean, people have a hard time, but literally, I mean, we can do this kind of technology. I mean, we're like a portable mash unit. This is, Star Trek is happening now. Gene Roddenberry was just made aware of some of the stuff when he brought that out. But this has always existed, as you've heard with, you know, Sergeant Bessard and Patty Bessard and Sergeant McMullen.
And the one we did on me, I'll be posting so everybody can see exactly how it's done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can within seconds just start looking at your blood from a scanner. I mean, the idea of having to draw blood is like archaic. I mean, that's just ridiculous, because you can deal with it in the systems before there. So I can actually send a radio wave like this instead of a smart meter and excite your cells and excite you and get you vibrating higher, and you'll dissolve your own tumors within days, weeks. You know, it doesn't take that long to do. And so that's one of the really kind of fun things that someone can do. And let's say I wanted to go in and just do sound acupuncture. I can look at all your meridians here within seconds and see where the block is. Again, at different hertz, your hearts, you know, whether they say 432 or 528, or that's why the essential oils with the frequencies are really important, because I can actually scan this and it will tell me exactly which oil that client needs. Right. And more importantly, as I talk to you, I can send that food and transmit the food in the airwaves harmonically. And that's a really cool thing to do. So these essential oils can be sent to you through the airwaves.
Literally.
Literally.
Frequency is, it really works. I've had it done, and it's so cool.
It is very cool. And so I just wanted to kind of present a few of these different things on how we've done it. You know, like I said, anyone can take the oils themselves, whatever you've got. If you want to get a textbook, that's great. You know, knock everyone's self out. I'm all about educating. And I've educated myself. And there's no excuse not to. You know, like I said, people are dying from Cancer, it's lack of knowledge. Get with the program. There's all, instead of Tide, chemicals. We've got, Dr. Bonner's here, 7th generation. I don't care. There's no excuse for really, there are no excuses actually for this.
Right.
And when we say ignorance, that means you're ignoring the law.
Even the people using Wi-Fi for their computers, just to make it simple, just stop being lazy and hook an Ethernet cable to it and you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. You could be having fun. This is not just old books or old texts. This goes back into the hieroglyphics to the Temple of Isis and to the clan mothers, to the original women that have been here. This is not anything new. And this is an excellent book, actually. It's called The Essential Oil Desk Reference, 6th edition. It tells you how to apply the oils, what to do. It's like the recipe book of food. And like I said, there's grades of food, there's grades of people, and you're taking that whole field of lavender and putting that in that bottle. Who's not going to get healthy? Do you know how long it would take to eat that?
Right.
But this is part of it, a thing. There's very few things that you can't. Like I said, it's through a slow distillation process. You can't just do it yourself. These are medical things that we do for a reason. And here's when you're harvesting like your cedar wood and stuff and your fir trees and your birch trees. Like birch syrup, there's birch essential oil. And so these are the most beautiful things that we've ever had. I've had the pleasure to be there and throwing some chamomile in there and been down there. So I think this is one of the things, and as long as you get one that's, and if you want to know what's safe to eat, look it up. It's called Generally Regarded as Safe. Basically, it's almost everything. If you know it's a food. So whether you want to apply it in, you want to put it on your skin, that just stops things from coming in. We don't burn things. We cold air diffuse it here. That just stops stuff from coming in. It doesn't mean you don't have 60, 70 years of accumulated crap. And so this is basically how we cross the blood-brain barrier. This is how we take down, actually, this is using it in our toothpaste. But you can take high concentrations of viruses, bacteria, and basically you change the terrain. You're not killing anything. That's like fear porn, and this is about having fun now. I was also trained in vet med, holistic vet med. We use it for cats and dogs. Let them be free, And so, again, there's different techniques. So if you know the techniques, an auricular technique, that's great. If you don't, it doesn't matter. So there's nothing exciting to chiropractic, but you're putting it in there. So if you got low back pain, that's your colon. That's the whole digestive system. This whole thing is your digestive system. And the viruses and bacteria from the vaccine can store there. We know they were laced with like venoms. They were laced with snake things, with pus. They have stored, 20, 30 years on us. So, that's why we're grateful to the people, like Dr. Gary Young and other pivotal pioneers. There's many of them. And I've trained with many of them. So it's not the company, it's the oil, it's the quality of the oil. And I've spent a lot of the time learning that. As you have the different colors, you have the different chakras. So I might want to use cacao essential oil or frankincense, myrrh, cedar wood, or sandalwood, or palo santo to get up to my top of the tree here. You did a, pranayama, and you did an inversion. It's kind of like the, placenta mushroom thing on a crop circle, I guess. I don't know. But that's how you let go. If we want to get into the amygdala, into the RAM, into that third eye, the seat of the soul, that's the only thing that releases trauma. And so the essential oil books that we have for doing emotional release is very important, by Dr. Carolyn Mean, because it kind of combines neuro-linguistic programming, it kind of combines all sorts of things. But the most important thing you can be doing is testing your pH to start with. This helps you bring back to base, getting back to basics. But again, negativity is a state of acidity, which is basically lack of information. And so this, to me, by the way, these days is not any different than Windows 3. That's why I laugh with Patty Broussard, right? Patty built all the computers took them from Windows 3 to Windows 6.5.
Hmm.
Right? Are we at Windows 10, or are we really back to the one again, back to the beginning? We've come full circle.
Right.
And there's really 13, not 12. But, you know, if you can't get the first couple ideas, I don't know what we're going to do. But that, I know. Do you have any questions, Andrew? Was that simple enough today, or?
Yeah, but we went a little bit further, but that's good. I mean, we'll just have to keep doing more updates.
Yeah, and maybe what we'll do is we're going to just, you know, like I said, the simplest way is just to put them on your feet. If you have any questions, throw them on your feet, and then, you know, just wear them. Put them on at night. Wrap a hot white towel around your feet. You know, if you're concerned about doing, which you shouldn't, but if you haven't discerned yet about, you know, putting boron or borax, then stick your feet in it, like for a foot bath. Something is better than not doing anything these days, as far as I'm concerned. Not at all. That's why I discern. And like I said, you know, try a couple of these techniques that people have at home. I think it's really, really important that when you get your food, is make sure you're putting something to clean it off. I use the lemon essential oil to clean the, you know, or the hydrogen peroxide to clean off basically what's on there. And if you're not aware, this is a hydrogen peroxide. These are, sometimes you can get 29 to 35%. This is not 3% in the drugstore. You just need a drop or two of this. And that's another very effective thing for cleaning toxins off, or putting in your animal water. But again, just cleaning that stuff off your particular thing. So we'll leave it there, and we'll call that a day today. How's that?
And do number 3.
Yeah, we'll just maybe 15-minute things. We're just going to do making pills and maybe making the enema solution and things like that. And I think that would be like kind of the funnest thing ever. And like, that's how we spend our time. So to heal anyone, this is a hospital replacement. It should start in every instead of home economies, coming back to the mother's ways or the original ways of doing things. This is like the mother land. This is your flesh. So if you can't look after that in your waters, which is your blood or bloodlines inside, you know, we got to start with those two really simple concepts with things. So I think that's a great way. It's just the education of that. And if people have questions, they can get a hold of me on Facebook at Karen Ann McDonald or Karen McDonald, clanmother13@gmail with a K. They could always, you know, I do occasionally check comments, but not that much, or threads on there. And I still see people, like, you know, I'll be doing right after here. In fact, I've had like 3 clients going at me because they want to be on Skype for a session to do biofeedback or health consults. And that's why we still do things in the original laws of peace, the law of the lands. And tribally that way, in truth, what we do is without any commerce or intercoursing into banking and trust accounts and all sorts of unlawful things. And that way we keep the peace. And thank you for your kindness and understanding, and for the audience and listeners and stuff. So anyway, many blessings to you and to yours, and maybe all have health and prosperity and abundance and peace. And that's what co-creation is. That really is. So I am really grateful for the opportunity you've presented to myself and to my friends, and to be able to make a pivotal change on this planet. You're bringing in such vital information. So it's not just the health information, but it's what's going on. You know, we do have there's battles going on, and they're here right now. And I think that's really important. People get educated. So it's to actually look through all of projectincension, because you're really at the forefront of bringing in great information, Andrew, and I'm so grateful for you. I really am.
Thank you very much. And it's got to stop. It's got to start right in the people's own home, living area, kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in our creating a sacred space of love, as Anastasia calls it. It's that sacred kin domain. And that's about, you know, being in kind or in kin. It's getting back to our original customs, usages, and laws. And I'm not doing anything that hasn't been done. You know, I don't care if you look at the hieroglyphics or the pyramids or Stonehenge or whatever. This is the way it was done, always will be. And we are adapting and flowing. And this is just, again, available to the people that should be out there. You know, people shouldn't be being charged, seeing as, you know, all the water originates off my lands anyway. I don't intend to charge my friends, you know.
Right.
But this is why people, if they have to go back and they have to do their DNA, they have to look at their mitochondrial DNA on their mother's side, at doing their own saliva tests, knowing if their RH is positive or if it's been manipulated. Tribal bloods are RH positive. If they've been manipulated or tampered with, they could be an RH negative. And even how you perceive things, how you absorb things is all based on that too, you know? And that's why the original nations and stuff, you know, they're always run by the wise councils there, supposedly. But yeah, that's what we want to do, is bring back that information, just make it simple, you know? And like I said, if you gather one thing, I've had people where they've just done the baking soda and borax even, or spring water, made that change for 2-3 weeks, and just quit going to those different parts of the supermarket, or just went out to go get some, you know, heirloom seeds and started doing things. Make a difference.
Right.
You know, living food is for the living. The dead looks after the dead.
That's a great note to end on, Karen. We'll have to be doing this again real soon.
Great, thank you.
And you just heard Karen and Lucic McDonald, 13th White Bear Clan Mother. And we'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.